Hi, everyone. Just give us a couple of minutes to get started. We're just letting some more people come in. All right. It's 2 minutes past the hour. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone, and good morning or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Nattu. I am one of the members of the Spark leadership team, and I will be helping facilitate today's session with Anu, who is one of the founders of Spark Mentoring. I'm joined by Dr. Dalvi and Rucha, who are going to be our esteemed speakers today and are graciously giving us their time to help you figure out how to write a compelling SOP. And in terms of logistics, we also have Shruti and Gunjan helping us out as well. So thank you to the two of you as well. All right, so for those who are unfamiliar with Spark, Spark Mentoring is actually an initiative that was started by a couple of ICT alumni, Amar and Anu, and it's focused on providing resources to be able to help students just improve their peripheral professional skills. A lot of career guidance. There's mentorship opportunities. There's resources available for in the form of blog posts or other ways as well. And it's something that they started out as as a passion in wanting to give back, and it's beautifully emerged over the past a few months. So thank you for being a part of this and helping the Spark team grow. So today's session is going to be focused on the professional and peripheral skill set piece. That's part of one of 6 programs or modules within Spark, as you can see on your screen. So the Achieve module is focused on the professional peripheral skill set, which is kind of what we're tied to today. But as you can see, there's 5 other things that Spark also does, right? Be it career guidance. We're also launching a one-on-one mentorship program next month. There's sources available for short courses, some trainings, and also communication skills development. So be on the lookout. Make sure you check out the Spark Mentoring website. There's a lot of resources out there that have already been shared, and many sessions have already been held, right? So I'm pretty sure you may have some questions that might have already been addressed in the past, right? In terms of today's session, so again, we are focused on how to write a compelling SOP. And as I mentioned, we have Dr. Vishwanath Dalvi and Rucha Thakkar. Just by way of quick introductions, Dr. Dalvi, I'm sure most of you already have interacted with or know. He is an ICT alum, and he always finds ways to give back, which is just amazing and inspiring. He believes that a free and truth-speaking human being is one of the most beautiful things in creation. I cannot agree more. And he also believes in distributism, right? So the problems of capitalism do not really stem from too many capitalists, but from too few. And he's focused on addressing issues of sustainable development and economic empowerment by decentralizing the generation of energy and provision of sanitation, right? So he's working on really cool projects, and ultimately he would like India to be a resilient, secure, knowledge-based economy that's driven by millions of small-scale, decentralized power producers and innovators, so that prosperity wells up from the bottom of the pyramid. So thank you, Dr. Dalvi, for all that you do, and welcome, and thank you for giving us your time today. Next up, we also have Rucha Thakkar, who currently works as a customer operations and analytics manager at NetPay Squid. She's a member of the client-facing team, which is technically called the customer success team. She, after completing her undergrad at ICT, went to pursue her master's in environmental science and management from University of California, Santa Barbara. And she pursued her interests in environmental modeling research. And in her free time, Rucha likes to read, bake, and explore the city. So thank you, Rucha, and welcome once again to another Spark session. All right, so I know when we had asked some of you to register, we had put in some questions that we'd asked you to fill out, and certain things or topics that you would like the speakers to talk about. We saw one common theme that popped up, which was applying for master's or PhD abroad, right? Just wanted to let you all know that we've already done this session that is focused on the application process and things that you should be looking for. So this was done about a month and a half ago. So just feel free to log on to our Spark Mentoring website, go to programs, scroll down, and you should be able to find this particular session. There's a link over here to the live YouTube stream, and that would just directly allow you to sort of check out the entire session. It is for free, so please feel free to check it out, and do reach out to the speakers or ourselves if you have any specific questions. All right. All right. So one more logistical thing before we jump right in. I'm sure most of you are bored of hearing me speak for the last few minutes. But just one thing that I want to call out is we absolutely want the session to be interactive towards the end, and want you all to pose your questions and make sure that we are addressing your questions along the way, right? So now is a good time to either scan the QR code on your screen, or go to this website, that's www.pigeonhole.at. So we will be using a software tool called Pigeonhole to address your questions. It's a very simple way to sort of just put in your questions, and allows us to also track things properly, right? So just put in the passcode that you see on the screen, 28AUG21, and you can keep putting in questions throughout the session. It will remain open throughout. So as and when questions pop up in your mind, please feel free to type them in. You can also like questions that other people have posted. So that makes it easier for us also to be able to address the most pressing questions that everyone has. All right. And then finally, at the end, obviously we grow by making sure that we are serving your needs. So feedback is extremely critical to us. So you will receive a link to a feedback form in the chat window. And it'll only take you a few seconds to provide your thoughts and, tell us things that we can do to improve, right? So please take the time to do that if you can spare a few seconds. All right, with that, I will hand it over to Dr. Dalvi and Rucha to focus on today's section. So thank you so much. And I hope you all have a great session forward.
Thank you so much for that intro. I can share my screen. Let me know when you all can see it. All good?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Great, happy to kick it off. Thank you so much for the very kind introduction. And thank you, Anusha, Amar, and all the other leadership members of the Spark team. It's just a great initiative. I'm really grateful to participate a second time. Today's session is a continuation of the previous session on how to apply or what to consider when you want to look at programs abroad for master's and PhD. So please check out the session that Anusha has linked in the chat below. Specific, there are several components that go in your application packet. The arguably one of the most important ones is your statement of purpose or your SOP. So we wanted to do a spotlight and just talk a little bit about what we know to be successful or things that we know can help you when you write your SOP. So with that, I can hand it off to Dr. Dalvi to kick us off, and then I can jump back in towards the end.
Thank you, Rucha. Thank you, Nattu and Anusha for organizing this. Thank you for the very wonderful introduction. Hi, everyone. So this is going to be a talk on, that is going to be a dialogue on, and then this will be a polylogue on how to write a compelling SOP. Now, compelling. So the key word here is compelling, and the important thing is compelling for what? What are you forcing? What are you forcing with your SOP? What are you driving towards? What is the goal of the SOP? The goal of the SOP, of course, is to get a seat, get a position in a university of your choice. That would be the goal of the SOP. Now, the fact that somebody is already opened your SOP to read it means you have already cleared a number of filters. Your GRE score, your academics have already taken you to the door, and your SOP is going to take you through. If the person reading the SOP, the people, it's a committee that reads the SOP. The committee reading the SOP thinks that you're going to come through. You're going to add something. What is it that they're looking for you to add? And if you can address that in your SOP, it's going to be a compelling SOP by definition. If you're going to address the point, if you're going to address their need, you are a need. You're somebody's need. You are going to address somebody's need. You're going to provide a service. That's why they are giving you a free ride. They're going to give you something like $32,000, $35,000 a year, which is a lot of money. And they're going to keep giving you that for 5 years. In exchange, they want something from you. Now, if you can prove to them through the SOP that you can give them what they need, you're in. If you waffle, then you're not in. So get straight to the point. An SOP is a document that explains what you want to do. It is a statement of purpose. And you had, considering how competitive these things are, and considering how much resources are riding on you, should you go in, that document, your purpose you better have a good one, and it should be aligned with their purpose. For example, when you go to the grocer, we never say how the groceries that you're going to give me are going to benefit me. Never ever do you go to the grocer and say how wonderful it is to eat your vegetables and therefore give them to me. You always say, if you give me your vegetables, I will give you this much money in return. It's always a transaction. That is what is compelling to the grocer. The currency in your hand. What is the currency in your hand? What are you, inexperienced, undereducated, new to the world? What do you have to give? There are two things: your intelligence and your passion. This nobody else can give. Your, rather than intelligence, shall I say initiative. Your initiative and your passion. You prove to them that you have it in you to tackle hard problems through frustrations for 5 years until they yield, until they crack under your efforts. Then they're going to take you. So there are essentially 4 questions that you must answer. Where do you want to go? Why do you want to go there? This sets up a motivation. So essentially, what do you want to do long term? Long term. So where do you want to go? Why do you want to go there? Your motivation should be really sound. You cannot say in an SOP where something this much riding on you that I am just exploring, I don't know where to go, this will do and that will do. Doesn't work. You have to passionately say, this is what I want to do. I will do this even if I'm not paid for it, but I will do it. Passion. Where do you want to go? Purpose. Your goal should be in front of your eyes. And you should be able to show that the goal is in front of your eyes. Where do you want to go? Why do you want to go there? What prevents you from going there? Where are you now? What's keeping you from going there? And how will this university help you get to your goal? Now, if you can prove that your goal and the university's goal are in synergy, you have won. That's it. You prove that where you want to go, the university you can partner with the university to go there. In doing so, you can give something to the university. What is it they want? Your passion and your initiative. If you can crack a hard problem, if you can see a hard problem all the way through its conclusion, then you will justify the resources being poured into you, and tremendous resources are being poured into you. $30,000 a year over a period of 5 years is $150,000. That's more than ₹1 crore. This much money is being poured into you, and people want returns for that kind of money. And the returns you're going to give are the solution of this problem. This money did not fall from the sky. It came from a funding agency. The funding agency is breathing down your professor's neck for results. You are going to give him or her those results to take to the committee. So that is the value you will add. Now, Rucha is going to essentially say what I said, but in a different way. Go ahead, Rucha.
Thank you, Dr. Dalvi. That was great. I am just going to iterate and add more color to the points you made, but the core points remain the same. In every statement that you make, you want to convince the university that what you want to do is going to be good for them, and what they are giving you is going to be extremely helpful for you. So it's really just think about it as a two-way transaction, like Dr. Dalvi said. So now I know some of this, sounds great as a concept and you all get it. But when it comes to implementation, you might think, where to begin? I don't know what I want to do. How do I start? Or what value can I add? I'm just somebody who's maybe 20 years old, or between 20 to 25 years old. And what can I give to this university that is going to be meaningful to them? How do I find out those things? So to help you with that, we have prepared some follow-up questions that you can introspect and ask yourself. Write down candid answers that no one is going to read. It's just for you. It will help you think through all of these big decisions that you're going to make in your life. Okay, so let's go through these questions one by one. The first thing is figuring out what you want to do. And some of you may know it, and you're so lucky to know it. I am still figuring out and exploring, and I just like everything I do. So if you know exactly what you want to do, that's great. If you don't, then the way to find out is Google, talk to people who have chosen different careers, talk to your professors, just figure out what you want to do next. You might not know, but start writing out what you do know, and that will help you get started. Then think about why you want to do it. For example, you might want to do a PhD in dance, and that may be because you have a family, legacy in dancing. You have always been taught that it is really something that's close to your heart. It's really something that gives you joy. And that's your own personal story, right? It could be totally something that you want to do. Write down why you want to do it. It could be something technical. Oh, I want to solve the renewable energy, problems, and that's totally fine. Or it could be something that you want to do because you want to pursue your personal passion. So that's fine. Whatever it is you want to make, you may want to earn more money. Just write out candid answers. Be honest to yourself. And you may not have done this before, so I'm just helping you think through how to introspect a little bit. Then, you start with your life's purpose, and then you think about, okay, what is the specific scientific area or technical area that relates to it? If I'm talking about renewable energy, is it batteries? Is it fuel cells? Is it wind energy? Is it tidal energy? Whatever it is, what is the specific discipline of science that you are then interested in, right? We are taking it one level down. Within that, there might be specific research areas that you are looking for. For example, you may be interested in pharmaceutics, and then you might be interested in drug delivery to solve brain-related problems. There could be specific sub-research areas that you're interested in. So just start going one level down. And I would say just write out candid answers, even if you think that there's nothing to write about. It's just you reading it. It doesn't matter. The next question is, how will this specific university or program help you? So, Google is your friend here. The really good thing is we are born in the era of internet, and there is so much information out there. Lack of information is not going to be a problem for you. So like I said in my previous talk, go to the university websites, click on the different departments or click on academics, click on the programs that are available, and then you will find a host of resources. You will find courses that the university offers. And maybe you think a course offered by one university is superior to the other university. And that's why you are choosing this university. It's not like you don't have a choice. You can go to any country, including your own. You can choose from literally hundreds of programs available to you. So in a way, you are choosing this university too, and you want to convince them, why they are special for you. And then especially if we are talking about master's research or PhD research, the person you work with is going to really make or break your career for that amount of time, right? So is there a professor that you really like, the professor that you think is really inspiring and you want to work on what they worked on? Or for example, universities might have access to certain job markets or certain testing institutes or certain equipment that nobody else in the world has, like supercomputers or quantum computing or linear accelerators, whatever it is. What is it specifically that the university is offering you that make you want to apply there? And then finally, the most important question, what value will you add to the student body? So even here, just start writing down the experiences that you have accumulated. When you start writing out your experiences, you will realize that you have achieved something when you participated in those experiences. And then you can write out those achievements. And those achievements could be, gold medal, or you ranked one, or whatever, something like numerical. Or it could be that you learned a lesson, you gained a skill, you learned to talk to somebody, or navigate a tough situation, or just encounter something that you never have encountered before. Whatever it is, be it like a tangible skill or a soft skill, you can write it out to yourself, and eventually we'll find a way to make it into your SOP. And yeah, I'm not going to go through all the questions, but I'm just listing it out here so you have some guidance on how to think through these. Dr. Dalvi, anything to add here?
Yeah, no. It's really, really wonderful. So just reiterating, and correct me if I wanted, if I have. So the basic idea is you should know where you want to go. So in the beginning, while you were speaking, I realized there's things I should have said, which you brought out really well, and I wonder if you could comment on them. One of the things is I said something wrong, and when you were discussing this, I realized it was wrong. And what the thing that was wrong is I said it was not okay to explore, and that was wrong. It is really good to explore, but you must still show that while you're exploring, you have the grit and commitment to follow through on what you are committed to. Essentially, that is the correction I would like to make. And then, so the fact that your SOP is being read means they want you. The fact that your SOP is being read means they want you. You just have to give them an excuse to take you, get them on your side. And one of the ways you get them on your side, and Rucha, please correct me if I am. One of the ways you get them on your side is by making your SOP easy to read. 5-page SOPs are too long. 1 page, 1.5 page, 1.5 A4 page, Times New Roman 12 or Calibri 11, 1.5 A4 page. Simple language, easy to read, quick to finish, important points highlighted. Get your teacher, get your professor, get your supervisor to be on your side. Give them an excuse to hire you. There was I grew up at a time before MHCET, and our careers essentially depended on our ability to write essays in answers, board exams. And we were given, we were repeatedly told a very important dictum. Write your paper so that the examiner can correct it in 2 minutes. And what that meant was, if you could correct, if the paper was clean, clear to read, all the important keywords were underlined, it was written point-wise, if it was easy for the examiner, who had to read thousands of papers, and literally thousands of papers, that person would then come on your side, and he would look for excuses to give you marks instead of looking for excuses to cut marks. Similarly here, write an SOP so that the professor gets on your side, so that the professor is, or the committee is on their sides. Committee is incentivized in their own minds for excuses to take you instead of excuses to reject you. And to do that, you have to be simple, direct, honest, and come across as passionate. Simple, direct, honest, passionate. So I'll just reiterate the structure Rucha presented. Where do you want to go? It's why do you want to go there? And it's okay to not know exactly where you want to go, but you must have a definite path in mind. So that path could take you through quantum computing, or the path could take you through dance. But there should be a path and there should be a goal. And if you don't have a goal, this is the time, actually, you have several months. This is the time to talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your teachers, talk to your mentors, and find out what drives you. This is a time to actually grow, to learn, to know yourself. To know it. So think of it as a exercise in self-awareness, self-development. Become familiar with yourself. We don't get a lot of chances of doing that. Now is a good time. Become familiar with yourself. Then you will know where you want to go. Then you will know what your calling is, what you must do. And just write down why you want to go there, where you want to go, the knowledge of the journey of discovery you have embarked on. Write essentially blog about it on paper, or journal it on paper. Then describe in as clearly and concisely as you can why that university will get you there most effectively. So write it in a way that says, I'm going to get there, but with your help, it will be quicker. But I'm going to get, but you are going to make it quicker. And finally, you have to say why you are competent to finish it. And that is where you put in the points that Rucha said about I scored, I had a gold medal, I was top of my class, which are wonderful. They establish your competence immediately. But what if you are not top of your class? What if you were far below? Then you're still competent. You're still valuable. You have to find out ways to convey that your value. Remember, the fact that your SOP is being read means they think you're valuable as well. Give them an excuse to take you in. Tell them things that prove that you can take a hard problem and see it through to its end. So, yeah, Rucha.
Awesome.
Anything to add?
No, I think that was great. And, to drive the point really home, we have a few example SOPs that we can walk through. So, guys, I know this is a lot of text on the screen to read through. So we might not have time to read through everything and then kind of diagnose it. So why don't I just go through the points that I liked about the SOPs, and then you will have this video anyway, so you can read, just pause the video and read through the text of the SOP. Does that sound good?
That's
okay. Awesome. So you start an SOP, and an introduction is probably the toughest thing to write. So don't beat yourself up if you don't get it right just on the first attempt. What you eventually want to get at is it should be, hold on 1 second. That it should be to the point, very clear, intelligent. So it relates to something that is actually happening in the world, and just get to the point. Don't belabor. Don't feel like you have to use smart sounding words, or you have to find a purpose that's just super hatke and that nobody, nobody has solved. It could be something really, really close to your heart. For me, it was, I wrote something in my SOP, which was, I'm really tired of seeing just waste piled up on the sides of the street, and that's not a nice sign. It's not a nice feeling. It just comes with its own social and social problems, and I want to contribute to solving that problem. And that was the start of my SOP. Something really simple. It wasn't fancy. It was talking about waste, so it could be talking about anything. So all of these SOPs I've borrowed from my friends. I would just like to give them a huge shout out for letting me use their samples. This person, she was a student at ICT, graduated, and her PhD degree is in pharmaceutics. So her purpose was helping to solve really tough diseases to solve, which are like cancer and diabetes. So in her in her introduction, she says a lot of patients, we have a lot of solutions, but a lot of patients are still struggling with these diseases, and I want to contribute to this cause. So really it's 3 sentences, it's super short, but it relates to a real world problem. Then she talks about, fine, like this is the big kind of emotional purpose, but then specifically what is the technical challenge? And then she kind of goes to talk about, a chemical entity has to be well designed, but then also it has to be accepted by the body. And I'm not an expert in this, so I won't say any other details, but she kind of breaks it down and makes it, takes it one level down, makes it relatable to the science and technology that she has studied. And then she ends up by saying, I'm passionate about this and I want to contribute to this research. So really, really short. If you look at the overall SOP, this was maybe 1.25 pages, so really not long. Then she kind of dives into why this university, how, like we were saying, how will this university help me get there? So she writes a little bit of information about the university that's a little bit more general. And then she dives into the specific professors that she likes. So she says, I like these professors' research, I like this other professor's research, and ends by saying, I would appreciate a chance to rotate in these labs. So clearly it shows you that she has thought about what the PhD program offers. It offers a rotation in the initial semesters, and she shows that she has, even if this particular university may not be offering that, she is making that comparison. So immediately the reader kind of knows that this woman knows what she's talking about, and directly gets to the point. Oh, sorry. There was one more example here, but I will add it in the. I would add it in the slides that we
before you
send
go
as a
on,
readout.
let's go back to the pharmaceutics.
This one?
No, the how she ended it.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's very clear that she is not committing to anything. So she has specifically said that she would appreciate a chance to rotate in the labs. So it's not, again, correcting myself, it is not at all a bad idea to say that you are exploring, as long as you have a path. And she showed her path in the first 3 sentences very elegantly, very short, very succinct, very, very compelling. So she did so this is a brilliant SOP. The only thing that I would have suggested that she add is a line on her competence. So she has said how the university, she has addressed the 4 points, the 3 points really well. There could have been one line, but I suppose her grades and GRE score were fantastic. So she didn't really have to really make a comment on that. So she doesn't really need it.
She has also addressed that in the further paragraphs. I just chose
I see.
like specific paragraphs. Yes, but absolutely. There was another SOP that I was reading to shortlist, and I have so many good examples. But another SOP, in their introductory paragraph, they tried to hit on all the 4 points. So that is the one that I will link in the slides that we send out, to kind of give an idea of how to communicate all the 4 points that Dr. Dalvi is talking about in just one paragraph really quickly. Okay, so in the survey that was sent out before this presentation, a few of you suggested or asked about how can you write about your work experience and distinguish it from your research experience? Or what if your work experience is not really relevant to the PhD degree or the master's degree that you're interested in? What have you? So I wanted to share an example of another friend who applied for a PhD after getting a little bit of work experience. So again, I won't go into like the text of the SOP, but you will say, immediately we'll see again, this paragraph is short. It's only 3 sentences, and it's broken out by what he did and what he learned from what he did. So not just kind of, you don't want it to just be a rehash of your resume. They have that document already. This is a chance to tell your story, to explain, if you did something that could not go on your resume, if you took a lead role, but there was another lead on the project. So that this is a chance to communicate those leadership skills and opportunities that you grabbed. So in this example, they start by saying, I have been working for the past 3.5 years with this company. This is kind of my current role, and these are the technical things that I'm working on. Then they end up saying, they pursued a master's before they're taking the job experience. So they have written, using technical writing skills gained during my graduate school, I assisted in writing proposals, which was for work. So this is how you can draw from experiences that you have done in the past. Now, you may not be somebody who has work experience. You may be somebody who's still in college, but you may have written a literature review, a review paper. So you can say, I gained those technical writing skills, or this was my first attempt at writing something technical, and I really liked it, and I would like to continue doing it. That's fine to say. It's actually really excellent to say. And then this person kind of goes on to say, through all of these experiences that I've worked for 3.5 years, I gained exposure to end-to-end battery research and development. And then he goes on to list the specific technologies. And then he kind of ends up by saying, these skills I know are important skills for my graduate school curriculum. And so this is how I am competent. This is the value that I will bring. I already know these things, so you don't have to teach me. I can just hit the ground running.
Yeah, great SOP. In the sense, it really gets to the meat of the matter very quickly. Now, if your SOP is small, the order of the points doesn't really matter, because these professors are used to reading complex documents very quickly. So they can go through your SOP within a minute or so. And therefore, the order does not matter all that much. However, if you do have the time and the inclination, the order which Rucha set out in the beginning, that would be good, has a good flow. This has inverted the order slightly. This SOP has, but it doesn't matter at all, because this is a short, succinct, well-written SOP that gets to the meat of the matter very quickly. If a professor is into battery research and he looks at this SOP, he is going to say, I want this fellow, I want this person. And it's going to, so the admission after this point just becomes a formality. There are professors working in battery technology who see this sort of SOP, and then they just are looking for excuses to take him. So this is another very compelling SOP.
Thank you. We have 2 SOPs to share with you on how you can share your research experiences. So that's great. In the survey that was sent out, I remember, if I'm remembering it right, maybe 40% of you have some sort of research experience, either during your undergrad or during as your part of your master's thesis or bachelor's thesis. So this is an example of how you can share something that's really technical. So in this SOP, this is a continuation of the previous one. This person says, I have this industrial research experience, and now I want to talk to you about my lab-based research experience at a university. So that's academic, right? And so they go on to say, I did this and I learned these instruments. So like I was talking about previously, it need not be that you received a gold medal in your master's degree. It could be that you learned to handle a really complex equipment or something that you are going to be using throughout your graduate school. So again, the university doesn't have to teach you. You already know this. You can hit the ground running. And then the thing I like about it is they highlight what was the outcome of that research. So they published a thesis and they published an additional research paper, which is really good to highlight in your SOP. It is already in your resume, but things like this should go onto your SOP as well. And then, some of you may be out of school for a few years, or some of you may have done something really cool while you were still in school. For example, I participated in a lot of competitive exams while I was still in school. And of course, it was like 10 years before I applied for my master's degree, but I could still say, those experiences during the early stages of my life were really foundational, and they really helped me keep on my toes, or they improve my skills in this X and Y way. So in the same way, this person goes on to say, these experiences to conduct training at early stages of my career were really foundational, and I really appreciate it. So it kind of goes on to show that you have a demonstrated history of working in this space. And if you have history, that is a type of experience, again, you become credible, and that shows your competence in a different way. The second example is, I really like it because it's a little bit different. So the examples that we have seen so far kind of list out everything that you have done over the period of 3 years. And that's fine. That's a way to give a quick summary. Sometimes you might want to highlight one specific situation that you're really proud of, or one specific project over the course of those 3 years or 2 years or whatever that you really want to highlight. And what I like about this specific SOP is it follows a really structured writing technique, which is the PAR technique. So what does PAR stand for? It's problem, action, result. There's a similar sister technique called STAR, which is situation, task, action, and result. And so when you're communicating in this way, you are saying, you're explaining what was happening around you. You did not create the situation. It was already there. What action did you take? How did you contribute to improving that situation? And what was the outcome? And it's totally fine if the outcome was, a failure or something did not work, but that's totally fine. That's irrelevant, but it's the way of communicating that experience that matters. So this specific SOP, says, I have spent 1.5 years researching this specific technical thing. I realized that this problem still exists in this world, so I want to solve it. I did these things to solve it. And with my current efforts, this is my first step towards a product that is going to reach the market. So again, problem, kind of the situation, action, and result. Now, it's, as you may be noticing, the product hasn't hit the market. It hasn't made billions of dollars in sale. That's fine. But this was, the person helped make progress towards that goal. And they were able to communicate that in a structured way. So I want to really encourage you to think about, to talk about, and to write about your work in using any of these structured writing techniques.
There's one sort of thing I would advise. We have not seen the whole of the SOP, of course, so he has probably done it later. What you don't see here is how that university will help him get to the product. So what a paragraph that he probably has later on is one in which says that your university has a history of taking products to market, or maybe your business school has a history of taking your products to market, which is why I'm excited to work with you. So because the question that would come to a person's mind is, if you're so good at it, why not just stay where you are and take a product to market? Why is this sudden detour?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you digressing from your goal? The PhD looks like a digression from his goal here. But he, or her goal, I'm not sure who the, but make sure that you establish synergy between your goals and the goals of the university. So be very careful that you do that. If you come across as, if your SOP makes you out to be a self-sufficient person who doesn't need any help, the question is going to be asked, why do you need to come here? So you should display your vulnerability in a way. I need what you have to give. And in exchange, I will give you what you need. And that synergy should come out of each SOP. And this SOP probably has a couple of more paragraphs below that bring out that synergy. But just, but it should be there. And this is a lucky, these two techniques are very effective communication techniques. This problem, action, result, and the star. They are fantastic. So it's really appreciate you bringing those out.
Yeah, great call out, Dr. Dalvi. In every paragraph, you want to try to reiterate that point of, I am bringing you value and you are going to give me something. This person does have that. Just for the, from a presentation standpoint, I didn't include it. But yes, absolutely crucial. Okay, then the next question that you had asked was, and you as the attendees had asked was, I have a lot of extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities that may not directly tie to the technical thing that I want to do. Should I highlight them? Do they bring any value? And if so, how should I do it? So my quick answer is yes, absolutely highlight it. If you are doing tons and tons of extracurricular activities, maybe pick a few that you want to highlight in the SOP. Don't make the SOP about that, but absolutely highlight it, because one, it shows that you are kind of a good citizen, that you are participating in all the competitions that were happening, or whatever, all the events that were happening in your college or at your work. It shows that you are enthusiastic about doing things. So generally, a good person to be around and a fun person. You may have a lot of stories to share and a lot of interesting things to bring to the student body. And third, it just shows that you are not kind of a one-trick pony, that you are good at the technical thing, and then you're also, you have this other side to your personality. You take leadership whenever there's an opportunity to take leadership, or you participate. You make time for things that you like, regardless of whatever else is going on in your life. And all of that is really important. So short answer is yes, but depending on what else you want to say, you might want to pick a few things that you want to highlight. So this person highlights a few things that they did really well. They were the president of something in their college, and immediately they say, it enhanced my writing skill, which is so crucial and technical, and then also my team building skill. And then they talk about how they have formal training in Bharatnatyam and how they participated in other competitions. So just, you see an SOP and you probably think, oh, I want to meet this person. It's really, really interesting that he or she is doing these things. Then they explain that they have hosted 2 marathons. And then they explain, this experience helped me understand how to build professional partnerships and develop effective marketing. So again, it may not relate to your technical degree, but who doesn't want these skills? Absolutely, you need it one way or the other, right? So good to highlight it. And they kind of end by saying, I strive to maintain a healthy balance between academics and co-curricular things, and then other things that help me build my personality. So again, shows you that this person is committed to their personal and professional growth, and they are ambitious, and they are going to seek development opportunities and make the university proud if the university chooses them. So this was just the meat of the, oh, there's one more. In this SOP, in this paragraph talking about extracurricular skills, this person has highlighted the scope of the responsibility. So, I won't talk about like the specific things that they did, but they highlighted what was the budget of the festival and what was the number of group of students that they were working with. And again, this goes to show that they can handle money. It's a large scale event, and they can handle working with groups of people, which is so crucial in anything that you do.
This is a particularly wonderful example because it shows quantitatively how much value you added. So if you can do that with any of your achievements, that would be wonderful. If you're working for a company, you can say, I saved them 3 crores equivalent to dollars in my career with them. So I think I'm ready for the next step or something. But if you can quantify your achievements, that is fantastic. Which is how they're so wonderful find. Great SOP.
Great point. Yes, a huge thank you to all of my friends for sharing their SOPs with me. Okay, really quickly, I know we are maybe running a little bit late, so I'll breeze through the next 2 slides. So this beginning and end of your SOP is always going to be tricky, so don't beat yourself up. But towards the end, you probably want to end with what do you want to do right away after graduation, or how will you add value? So what is the specific thing that you might do at that university or after the university? Okay, and then the last slide is just tips. This is just reiterating what Dr. Dalvi and what I have been saying for the last 40 minutes or so. I would break it out into 3 sections. First is introspect. You probably have not done it before, so it could be awkward in the beginning. You might not even know what to think, but just start thinking about yourself, craft a narrative. Be sure to not rehash your resume. If your SOP tells the exact same things as your resume, then that's a poor SOP, right? Like, you want to enhance it. You want to add additional points and context. We talked about written techniques. Trust your story. You might feel like, oh, there are maybe hundreds more of me. I don't have anything unique to offer, or whatever your self-doubt is. It's okay to think that, but trust your story. You do really have a diverse perspective to offer. For example, when I applied for my master's program, I thought there are going to be so many students interested in recycling, and turned out I was maybe the only one, or the only one of only 2 who were interested. So trust it, it's okay. And don't feel pressured to be someone who you're not. If your writing style is simple and direct, then stick to that. Because if you try to be someone you're not, it's going to come out. It's going to be patchy. So some parts of your SOP are going to feel super floral, and then some parts of your SOP are going to feel super direct, and it's going to be like a dissonance. Your reader is going to feel, oh, this is not the same person. There are 2 different people talking to me. And like Dr. Dalvi said, don't feel like you have to fill pages. 5 pages is probably too long. The brief you can be, the direct you can be, that's better. Start early. I cannot emphasize the importance of this. It takes longer than you think it will. So start early, get a lot of feedback, and just start writing. Even if you think there's nothing to write, nobody else is going to read it. It's just you. So it's fine to be honest with yourself. And do your homework. If you are going to apply to universities, know what they have to offer. If you just say, if you just write an SOP and you structure it so you can just swap the university name and everything else remains the same, then it's not going to be as effective. So customize, some of it can be the same for all of your applications for the sake of efficiency, but make sure to customize a good portion of it, or at least some paragraphs. And then there was a question about, there are other things in the application packet. Like, I think European universities and some universities may ask for a letter of research statement. So what it is technically that you want to do. Or some universities may ask for a personal statement so that they can consider you for some fellowships. You don't want to say the same thing across those 3 documents. So if your application packet consists of these other things, make sure that you have enough stories to tell, that it doesn't feel like it's the same document 3 times. That's it from me.
Wow. Yeah, the selection of SOPs was brilliant. They were they really brought out the point. So really pure kudos to you, and great big thank you to all your friends who contributed these skills.
Thank you so much.
So,
No, thank you so much for all of your guidance too. I
so
knew what to pick because we had a lot of conversations about it. So thank you so much. Just good luck, guys. You're doing the right thing. Just you'll be fine. Don't worry.
I love it.
That's a beautiful end to the slide deck. So thank you so much, Rucha and Dr. Dalvi, for such a beautiful session and very like proper in terms of breaking parts of the SOP to give people guidance on how to think about it and how to relay your experiences in different ways, right? So I did not do a master's or a PhD degree in the traditional route. Like I went down the MBA path, and it's very similar, right? In the way you sort of think about writing your essays and stuff. So I think it's a great session in also helping you think about how to write better. So thank you so much for that. All right, so I know we have about yeah. Sorry, yeah,
there's one sort of warning. Absolutely avoid any negativity in your SOP. Absolutely. Never, even if you're leaving your company, you're working in a company, leaving it because your boss is bad, never ever say that in the SOP. Always be absolutely positive. So be very careful. Don't complain about anything. Be really, you once you introspect, you will feel that you're running away from your boss or running away from a situation, but never let that come into the SOP. Just avoid it. Avoid it like the plague, because it is a sort of plague. So just stay away from that. Yeah, go ahead, Nattu. I'm sorry.
No,
Great point.
fantastic. Great.
Sorry, just one more point to make. So sorry. I also just wanted to say, absolutely don't plagiarize, guys.
Yeah.
We have shown you some samples. It was purely educational. They are all ICT alum. They really want you to grow, so they shared it out of the goodness of their heart. And you might get similar SOPs from your seniors. You might find some on Google. You might ask your family, your cousins who have applied before. Do not plagiarize. It is not ethical, so don't do it, and you will get caught. You will be caught, so don't do it. It is, trust yourself. Your story is genuine enough and good enough. You don't feel like you have to copy, but yeah, just don't plagiarize.
Absolutely.
Fantastic call out. Yeah, it's easy to just pick something and modify it and try and make it yours. You're not going to be true to yourself. So great call out. All right, so I know we have about half an hour or so roughly for Q&A. So I'll just quickly go ahead and share my screen and then pass it on over to Anu to manage the pigeonhole piece. Gunjan, you may have to give me screen share rights again. There we go. Thank you. All right. So for those who joined a little later, just make sure you can go on to the Pigeonhole website or just scan the QR code that you're seeing on your screen and type in the passcode, type in your questions. I know there are probably already some questions in there. So Anu will be helping us moderate this piece, but feel free to ask any questions. No questions are silly questions. So this is your time to actually utilize a speaker's time to get your questions answered. Anu, I'll let you go ahead and share your screen and maybe start addressing questions if they're already there.
All right. Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we can see it.
Great. There's also the link in the chat box if anybody's doesn't have the link on them, so you can just click on that link and enter code 28AUG21 to post your questions. There's already a lot of wonderful questions, so you can jump in to like these questions if you want. So maybe I'll just
I can also, I just wanted to say, if we don't get to anything, I can also offer to type out answers individually. So we can all do that. So please post it.
Fabulous, fabulous. Yeah. So then if you ask a specific question and we're not able to get to it, Rucha, thanks for offering. She'll type it in the chat for the particular question you asked. So please do check that out. All right. So maybe I'll just pick the few popular questions to begin with. But Dr. Dalvi, Rucha, if any particular question stands out to you, feel free to let me know, and then we can answer that question. Okay, so let's go with this most highly voted question from Aditya. The question is, suppose I'm compiling an application to gain admission into a master's course in the US. How can I substantially enhance my SOP or overall portfolio to accentuate my chances to acquire a scholarship? Any thoughts?
No, actually, this is a very hard question.
It is. It is.
Actually, Rucha, I think you can take this better than I can. I have. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just reading it. How can I substantially enhance my SOP to accentuate my chances to get a scholarship? So I see two kind of sub questions in this, or two distinct questions which are related. One is, how do I overall enhance my profile? And second, how do I increase my chances of getting a scholarship? Those are related but different. There are things you can do to get a scholarship which are not related to your profile, or I mean, they are, but there are things that you can do outside of that. And I talked about it in the last session, in the previous session that we had. So the best thing you can do is ask for it. And I know it sounds silly and simple, but the universities have scholarships, and especially if you're looking at a technical research course, like something that has a thesis component, chances are that you will have to work as a research assistant, and chances are that there are opportunities at that university to get that position as a funded position. So what I would say, and what I said previously, is reach out to professors and show them that you are interested in their work. If you just say that you are interested and you don't have the substance to back it up, that's not going to work. So show them that you're interested and ask for research assistant positions or something like that. Another way to get a scholarship is a teaching assistant position. If you're not really into research, you can get grader positions where you can just correct papers, and that's going to be, it's such a large amount to chip away at that you might get a scholarship, a position, and then a few different like campus jobs to fully fund your degree. So there are things that you can do that are just tasks outside of your profile building. And then profile building, start early, of course, because if you are applying in November and you are asking the question to yourself in July, then you have a limited number of things that you can do. If you have a short amount of time, Dr. Dalvi and I were talking about this actually, you can write review papers, or do literature review, or compile a summary of someone's research to show that you are interested. And so you can make up for your lack of experience or lack of interesting experiences, or whatever you are thinking, by overcompensating on what you want to do in the future. And if you have a large amount of time to prepare for your master's application, then the world is your oyster. You could do co-curricular things. You can participate in technical competitions. You can take courses on Coursera. You can work if you are at ICT or any other university and your professors have research that they are doing, you can work with them and try to see if you can, get a research paper out or something like that. So it just depends on how much time you have. It's a really tough question to answer.
But you answered it really well. Absolutely.
I agree.
Ask for it. That puts the best you're
Precisely. I think this was the advice she gave when she spoke in the applying for MS PhD abroad, and Yeah, it's a hard question, but people have done it. And Rucha is prime example. She secured funding for her master's, so you can do it. Okay, we're getting very philosophical questions here, I see. We'll go for another one. Is it worth doing a PhD?
Yeah, I can take it.
Yeah, go for it, Dr. Dalvi.
Rucha knows the answer to this, but I can take it. There are a short answer is no.
Okay.
I'll tell you why it's so. I said you have to quantify things. So you will make more money if you start working right off out of your bachelor's. Some of you want to go to the United States or to countries in Europe, first world. And in that case, if you secure funding for your master's, do your master's and start working. A lot of people do a PhD because it's a free ride. And it gets you a foothold in the West, which is where people want to go. And in that case, it's really worth it. But if you have the chance to start working without doing a PhD at a place where you want, whether the West, whether it's India, whether in somewhere else, on balance, it's not worth doing a PhD unless you are absolutely passionate about solving extremely hard problems in biotechnology, in computer science, in renewable energy. These problems require a lot of training in physics. In these fields, without a PhD, you're not going to have any. There's going to be a glass ceiling. It's going to be hard to rise. Then you have to do an MBA to rise, grow in your career. But it's probably, from what I've seen with my friends and long term, if your goal is to earn and enjoy life with a decent standard of living, perhaps in the West, the ideal would be to do a master's, work for some time, do an MBA, become a manager, and take that route towards career growth. If you're passionate about solving hard real world problems, then you should probably go for a PhD. But strictly, I have met maybe several thousand students now. That kind of passion, if it's not there in you, don't try to invent it. Just accept who you are. Go start working as soon as you can at the place you can. Do the courses required to grow in your career, and don't beat up yourself about giving back or anything. Just the only persons you owe something to are your family. So you do whatever is best for them, and if you have done really well and if you have tremendous surpluses, then you can think of giving back. But don't focus on what is best for your family, rather than status or anything else like that. Rucha, go ahead.
I would probably deflect this question to Anusha and see if she has a perspective on this. Not to put you on the spot, Anusha, let me know.
No, I think, thanks for that candid answer, Dr. Dalvi. Yeah, it's hard to quantify if it's worth it or not worth it. I personally think it is worth it. There's a lot of things that I learned via my PhD that I would not have learned otherwise, just in terms of skills, in terms of perseverance, having that patience and trying to answer hard problems, and gaining that overall training is something that I think I probably would not have had the chance of doing otherwise. So Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard question to answer. It's something that everybody has to answer for themselves. But yes, I think there are very valid points in what Dr. Dalvi said, as in, don't try to invent a passion, something that you're not passionate about. Don't try to invent that passion. If you do want to solve hard problems in science, then yes, there's so many things that you can get out of a PhD. Okay, we can go on this discussion forever. So any questions that stand out? Maybe I can just answer one question that's generic and more administrative. Can we get our SOPs reviewed by any of the speakers or Spark mentors? You can certainly write to us at our email ID info.sparkmentoring@gmail.com. I'll type that out in the chat, and do let us know your request. We'll try our best to accommodate your request to see if one of our team members can help review your SOPs. So definitely leave us a message on our email ID. All right. Would you guys want to pick any question? Maybe this. I think this is relevant to a lot of the student body who are applying for a PhD program right after their undergraduate degrees, probably don't have a huge amount of research experience. So how would you probably talk about not having enough research experience in an SOP that you're applying for a PhD program? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have experience of very. I have a counterpoint actually. You don't need research experience to write a good SOP and to actually get selected for a PhD. You need to show that you have the grit to complete a hard task. And one of the ways you show it is by doing well in your academics. So if you extracurriculars and so on are wonderful, research papers and so on are wonderful, but not at the cost of academics. That is what I have observed. There was a student from ICT, very brilliant student. He could code a full CFD software by himself, fantastically brilliant. He wrote several papers by the time in good journals, by the time he finished his graduation. But he would skip his lectures and he would code. And therefore he got a pointer of 6 or something. And he actually went to international conferences, had talks with the top people in his field. He had papers to, he could talk to them on an equal footing. But when he applied for PhD, nobody offered him anything. Nobody offered him a position. So academics matter. They are the first filter. So if your academics are good and you show that you're an interesting person through your other background, or the fact that you have a clear goal in mind, that itself shows tremendous interest in the field. Lack of experience doesn't matter at all. So if your professors are going to give you a good recommendation, you have a purpose in life, and you have good academics, then lack of research doesn't matter. Rucha, Anusha.
I second that. I can speak just from my experience. I didn't have much of a research experience when I applied. And I do think that, if you're able to explain why you want to get a PhD and showcase that you are, good in academics and everything, that should make for a decent package. All right. I guess we have time for a few more questions. So Maybe we can elaborate a bit or reiterate the points that you mentioned, some of the top points that you already covered. What are some of the things that you should not write in an SOP? I think towards the end, we did mention a few things, maybe reiterate those and any other points that come to your mind.
No negativity, absolutely no negativity. No lies of any sort. No plagiarism. And so these are three absolute no's. You might as well burn your SOP rather than write any of these things. And things that, so these make your SOP toxic. So there are things that make your SOP bland, which you should avoid as well. And those are a rehash of your resume, like Rucha said. No, don't rehash your resume. Don't talk about incidences in your distant past that led you to. Don't go on about incidences unless you can condense them in 1 or 2 sentences. So no anecdotes, no jokes. Don't be cute. This is a professional document. Do not resist strongly the temptation to be cute. Absolutely. It is going to be, do not be satirical. Satirical is a form of negativity. No satire, no cuteness. Don't turn a phrase. Don't be a lot of tones. So I said no negativity, but it's all negative. But the question invites negativity. Don't be clever with English. This is not the place for it. If you are clever with English, write a book, not the SOP. In SOP, you want to be straight up. So 3 toxic things that you shouldn't do and 3 bland things you shouldn't do. Rucha, Anusha?
I would probably, yes, I agree with everything you said. And I would probably reword this in a different way. There might be things that you don't want to add to an SOP, but you want to add to your resume. You might want to add to your research statement or personal statement. Note that personal statements are typically used to judge for scholarships, at least in some universities. And there might be things that you want somebody else to say about you. So we haven't talked about a big part of the application packet, which is letter of recommendations. So, and Dr. Dalvi and I were talking about it actually, are there any things that we should not write in the SOP, but maybe we want somebody else to say about us? And so think about it from that standpoint. Is maybe there are, maybe it was a difficult situation and somebody really saw that you handled it well, or whatever it is. They might write it in their letter of recommendation, and you can request them or remind them of that incident. So there could be positive things that you exclude because you want somebody else to say it because it will have more impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good point. Yeah.
That's a brilliant point. Keep that in mind. If you can influence your professors to modify their LOR for you, then it would be good if some points came through them instead of through the SOP. That's a brilliant point.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions?
I think the question with 6 votes, the third one.
This one?
That's the third one.
Oh, okay.
How students who have worked
all right
in industry.
Yeah, this is a good question. Yeah, I think you briefly mentioned this in your talk, but it would be nice to hear from you again. I guess the question is how students who have worked in industry other than research, make a compelling statement in their SOP for a PhD program, especially when their research interests are not related to their previous work experience or work profile.
This is a great question. Now, if I saw an SOP in which the student has said, I have 3 years of industry experience in the refinery. And he has a letter of recommendation from his boss. He has actually been promoted in the refinery. So he can say, I went from junior process engineer to senior process engineer. And now I want to do a PhD. This man is, this person, woman, man, this person is gold. I would be on his side or her side. I would want them to come and work in my group. If you are able to manage and it doesn't have to be a refinery. If you're writing an SOP that I worked for a mechanic on the roadside and I made it so that I cleaned up his accounts, I streamlined his processes, I increased his business by 20% in 2 years, you're still gold. Because now you know how real life works. A person who has industry experience, who has worked for a roadside mechanic, he could have worked as a, if you say I worked for the roadside shoe polish man, but I increased his business by 30%. Then you are gold. You are extremely valuable. And you should definitely highlight that in your PhD, in your SOP. And then you can, you of course have a vision for where you want to go. So this comes in your competence. Your vision and your synergy, they come before. And this comes in your competence. Why am I competent? Because I led this roadside mechanic. I made this Bhangarwala a more efficient Bhangarwala by working for it. That is a compelling background. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I I would 100% agree, right? Like, I don't think any experience is bad experience in any way, right? It boils down to your ability to story tell properly and tie your story from where you were to where you want to go, and leverage what experiences you have, that you've sort of already garnered along the way, and what makes you competent, right? To Dr. Dalvi's point. So I think focus more on what you have learned, what you bring to the table, and less on, I'm going to be pivoting from point X to point Y. Am I good enough? I don't think, you need to make that decision. Let the university make the decision for you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I just wanted to bring in the point that Rucha made earlier, the PAR technique. I think every single job in this world is that there is a problem. You need to do something to solve it, and there's a result. So if you've done something in your work experience, it may or may not directly be technically relevant to the field that you're going to pursue, but you can still highlight relevant skills that you've had that will be useful in your path forward. So do take advantage of that. I think that was a very great point that she had mentioned earlier.
I will also say that just do, like we answered in a previous question, overcompensate by showing that you know what you want to do, right? Like, read the professor's research, maybe you send them an email with the summary of their research or with new ideas about what you could be doing. There is a reason why you want to switch and do a PhD. You might need to take a couple of steps in that direction, like a couple of small steps before kind of making your application. So if you do those and focus on all the points that everyone else on the panel has made, should be fine. They might also find people who have done something like this and get their advice. I have not done this, so I don't know specifically what might apply to your situation. But if you find somebody who was working in an MBA type of profile or marketing after ICT or after a technical degree, and then they want to go back to PhD, they can maybe have some precise advice to give you.
Great point. All right, we're almost at the end. So maybe I'll pause the formal Q&A over here. We'll do a small wrap up, and then if you have more questions, please feel free to stay back and unmute yourself and ask any questions. I just want to answer one last question that was that caught my eye. Is Spark Mentoring only for ICTians, or
It's a
could
great
we tell
question.
your friends about our sessions and initiatives? Please feel free to spread the word. We are not just for ICT. We're here to help as many students as possible. So feel free to let your friends know about all of our sessions and invite them to join these. And if you have any questions, as I said, you can write to us for any queries at info.sparkmentoring@gmail.com. Okay, so with that, I do want to end our formal session. I just have a few final announcements to make. So we do have a new blog and podcast. We've launched that recently, and we are very excited to let you know that. This basically is to have continual engagement with you as an audience, so you can connect more personally with our alumni on their stories, or learn about topics about what we cover in the program more in depth, or topics that we are unable to cover in our programs. So for example, in the blog, we have articles that showcase highlights from our past events and workshops, interviews with ICT alumni who have excelled in various fields, or any other tools to help you in your next professional step. Our first blog is on getting your MBA. Do check that out. So Nattu was one of the panelists over there, so you can see all of his wisdom compiled into a single blog post. In the podcast, we have candid chats with researchers and professionals about their work, their life, and their career path in general. So you can hear in their own words what their work is all about, what it means, and how it impacts the world beyond. So you can definitely give that a listen in your free time. They are parked on our website, www.sparkmentoring.info. So do check out these resources when you get a chance. And with that, we're formally at the end of our workshop today. Thank you so much, Dr. Dalvi and Rucha, for your time today, and for this wonderful and comprehensive session on how to write a compelling SOP. A big thank you to the both of you. I think you hit all the right points, really great pieces of advice in there, and appreciate Rucha's effort in compiling all of those SOPs and picking the right points, right? Even though your friends gave you the SOPs, you probably spent a lot of time combing through those. So thank you so much. And I also want to thank our volunteers from the Spark mentoring team and the ICT social media team for their continued support and doing all the behind the scenes work to make these sessions possible. And finally, thank you all for joining us today. We hope you found this session helpful. If you did, please leave your feedback for this session. We have the link posted in the chat box. We would love to see how we are doing and what we can do to make these sessions even better for you. And you can go to our website and follow us on our social media channels, or join our WhatsApp groups to get timely updates and registration links. And lastly, as I said, please spread the word, share these sessions with your friends and colleagues who you think may benefit from this. This is not just reserved for ICT. So spread the word. So with that, we'll conclude our session today. You may exit the webinar, but if some of you wish to stay back and unmute yourself to chat with us, you should be able to do so now. We'll be hanging out here for a bit, and we'd love to hear from you. So thank you all for joining today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.